morning, everybody. My name is Jaakko Iisalo. I'm the lead designer and creative person behind Angry Birds, and this here is Matt Wilson. He's our marketing manager, and he's gonna tell something about App Store marketing and iPhone business after I've spoken about the design of Angry Birds. So a little bit about the company behind Angry Birds. Rovio is a small developer from Finland, and we've been around since 2003. And in the early days, we made a lot of Java games, and then later on moved on the smartphone market. And we've actually made over 50 games before Angry Birds. And 2008 and early 2009, we were making subcontracting work to pay the bills, and we managed to get enough money to make our own IP, like one game, and this is what became Angry Birds. So when we started, we had a like clear design focus for the game, what we wanted to do. And first of all, we wanted to do a smartphone game, and a smartphone game that uses real touchscreen controls. So a lot of games use like these virtual gamepads, and they don't really work that well because there's no response when you're using the touchscreen. Then we wanted to have strong characters for the game, and we wanted to make a casual game that everybody can play. And then we looked at what's popular in web games and what people like to play, and it seemed that 2D physics games were really popular, so we decided to do one of those. And we had our these meetings called publishing boards, and I was pitching a lot of different ideas, and here's example pictures of the games I were pitching. And I used to be a graphic artist, so usually when I design games, I make a lot of these pictures so I can see how it looks and feels, and it helps me think. So I made a lot of different pitches for different games, and then there was one picture that everybody seemed to like, and that was this picture here. This is actually what started the whole Angry Birds thing. And we actually sent this picture to our publisher, and they wanted the game even just by seeing this one picture, and we didn't even have the game at all. We just had this like a picture of the idea, and they said to us that this is something we want. And then when we actually started the production, I came up with the big character in the corner there, and this became the Angry Birds we know. And let's look at the epic story in the game. Thank you. So there was few people who didn't know the game or hadn't played it, so I could actually show the game. What's it all about? So Angry Birds is a like 2D physics artillery game where the goal is to destroy all these egg-stealing pigs here, and they have like different castles that they hide in, and you have your flock of birds, and the goal is to destroy all the pigs in the different levels. Okay, that's the game. 1 star. Let's see. So the project was, we had really small core team. We had 4 people doing the game. I was the lead designer, creating the characters, the gameplay mechanics. I balanced the engine. Then there was a graphic artist doing the graphics, producer, and 1 programmer programming the game. I also did like most of the levels for the game. And the development took like 6 months, but we had 2 other projects going at the same time. So the actual development time was around 4 months. And we didn't have like strict guidelines when making the project. We just tried to make the best game we could. And we had like these design meetings. Everybody gave ideas for the game, and it was just the team trying to make the best possible game. We actually had an external sound guy doing the sounds for the game, Ari Pulkkinen, on top of the team. And the technology we used was Box 2D, so it's modified Box 2D engine running. And we have our own multi-platform graphic engine that we use. And actually the game is developed on PC. And then we just make different builds for different platforms. And we used a lot of Lua scripting while we were making the game. So like half of the game code is made with Lua. And that was great because I was able to change all the values and add more blocks and do things on my own without I didn't need to ask the programmer to do things for me, so that was excellent. And let's look at the game, what makes the game great. So first of all, it's really fun, and there's a lot of humor in it. And this was something we really wanted to focus on. And the characters are really funny. We choose to make cartoony graphics for the game because the audience we were aiming at was casual, and we wanted to have really wacky sound design. And actually, we did the sounds ourselves. And there was this one night when Ari came to our office with a pack of beer, and then we had like small team making funny noises. So there's like actually I've done like the red bird sounds and the boomerang bird and some of the pig sounds and so on. One important thing is when you make casual games is to make the games easy so that it's clear to understand what is going on. Like the story is really simple and it's easy to grasp the concept, and it's simple. It's the game is simple, and like the characters are really simple. So if you look at the characters here, we had the basic idea was to have just the basic shape and eyes and beak, and this is really good if you're doing mobile game where the screen is really small and it's hard to figure out what's going on. So it was we wanted to make everything simple so that it's easy to understand what you see. And then we had familiar elements in the game. Like in the beginning, we didn't have the slingshot at all, and people didn't understand what's going on. And we tried this with different people, and there was like it's weird. You don't know what to do. But then we added the slingshot, and then everybody knew how to play the game after that. So that was excellent, and everybody knows how to use a slingshot. Then it's a game of skill. It's easy to start and easy to access, but then when you move on, it turns into this more hardcore game, and it feels like you're in control while you're playing the game. I don't know if you are, but it feels like it anyway. And one great thing about the game is the fact that it has casual game and hardcore game in the same, like in two different layers. So if you just try to finish the levels, it's like a casual game. But then if you try to aim for 3 stars, then it turns into quite hardcore puzzle game. And this gives the game a lot of depth and replay value. Then the gameplay is really rewarding. It's fun to play and watch. And actually, when we were developing the game, we had this problem that if you were just trying to fix some bug and then you tested the game, you accidentally played it for like 15 minutes. And sometimes there was like 5 guys watching you playing it. So it took a lot of time from the development because everybody was playing the game and watching people playing it. And there's non-stop action. There's always things happening. You just shoot and then things happen. And it's satisfying. When you finally kill all the pigs and make huge destruction, it feels really satisfying. So there's good short-term rewards in the game. When making mobile games, it's important to have the game length right. So the game should be really fast to load and start so that it's pick up and play. And in our game, it's turn-based, so there's no stress while you're playing. So the only time you need to concentrate is the short amount of time when you shoot the bird, and otherwise it's just you can relax and watch what's happening. And this makes it one gameplay session is really short, so it makes a perfect short break game. And actually the average gameplay session was 7 minutes. Was that it? Yeah. But it feels like you always have time for another round, so you accidentally play the game for 3 hours. I've done it several times myself. The level design is really important part of the game, and we've used a lot of time to make different kind of levels, and we've concentrated on oh, this is not right. We've done actually, I think we have like more than there's 300 to 400 levels now. And here's some examples. When we started, we were making these. I was making really simple castles, but then when I learned to use the editor, I came up with new ideas. And for example, on the right bottom there, it's a Tetris level, as you can see. And there's a truck smuggling pigs, and there's like custom officer there, and there's a pirate ship. And then after you've done like 200 levels, it gets a bit hard to come up with different ideas for the levels. So I've had really weird ideas. Like here we have monster truck, and then there's the double burger meal with fries and soda. So we try to produce really high quality levels, and we've done the levels so that it's easy to finish them. But if you want to have the 3 stars, then it's always some kind of puzzle. So there's like some certain way that you should play to get the 3-star score. So one thing about the game is that it's incredible value for money. So the game costs like $1, and you can get like 30 hours out from the game. And if you're really hooked, you easily play it like 50 to 100 hours. So Matt can tell you something about iPhone marketing and business side.
So yeah, I'm going to tell you about making it pop on the iPhone market. So you had 300,000 paid apps. How do you make yours stand out? We had pretty obvious key things that we thought. You have to have a strong icon. You need to have a very good viral marketing campaign. And then most importantly, you got to get the golden ticket from Apple and get a featured spot. On the App Store, there's definitely not an equal distribution of wealth. If you're outside the top 100, you're not making any money. This is why, like yesterday, I was telling the students, aim for multiple different markets. If you get big in, say, Sweden or Finland, you'll be making more money from being in the top 10 there than you will be from being outside the top 100 in the US. I also was saying, I didn't actually add this to the presentation, but to get big in smaller markets, it's not actually that difficult. Like in Denmark, for instance, there was 2 Danish language blogs. I got on Google Translate. I sent an email to those blogs, coordinated that they both did a press release on the same day with our game, went up to 6th place in the charts, and stayed there. And proof of concept is what we brought later on to Apple to actually get featured later on. And also, I mean, we did little shiesty tricks like Finland. It took about 10 downloads to get to #1. So we just told our friends to download the game, and it worked pretty effectively. All right, how to stand out in the crowd? Well, you got to have a great game. Thank you, Yaska. Have an iconic character, because without an iconic character, you can't build a brand. And when you have a chance to make it big, take it. We found out in January that we were going to get featured by Apple, so we took lots of steps to make sure that we took advantage of that release. We made a light version. We made the best video at the time for any iPhone game. And actually, I don't think many of you would know, but Angry Birds was $1.99 at one point, and we dropped the price. All in the space of 3 days to make a real big launch. So this is what happens when Apple features you. Our sales were, let's say, maybe 100, 200 a day. And then I think it was 15,000, then 20,000, then, I don't know, maybe 50,000 now per day. Yeah, probably more, actually. So taking off. Apple featuring. Really, you have to aim for that. So when you go up to go up to Apple with a proof of concept, when you're big in multiple different countries, they can feature you, and that's what you need to actually really break out on the iPhone market. Updates. You shouldn't treat your game like a disposable object. So we've always had the plan that we were going to add more levels. We watched people like Doodle Jump take advantage of adding updates all the time, and that brings users back to their game. And when they play the game more, their friends see them playing the game more, and they're more likely to download the game. While their friends are more likely to download the game so they can play the same game as their friends. So yeah, we released the first update when we got big in, I think it was February 13th. And then 3 weeks later, on the 2nd of March, where the red crosses, we did our first update. Because we dropped down the charts, we were actually in first for a while. And you could see what the update did. People started playing the game again. Their friends started seeing them playing the game, and went straight back up the charts. Then we did another update, but we were already #1, so it didn't really matter. Light versions. We released the light version when we did the first update, when we knew Apple were featuring us. A light version is a great way for someone to test out your game, and you can see light version downloads versus the paid version downloads. We had a pretty good conversion rate. I think it was about 30%. And definitely, if you have the chance to make it big, make a light version, because people, even when they see it featured, if they can't actually demo the game, they probably won't buy it. Viral marketing. Take advantage of YouTube. Take advantage of Facebook. Take advantage of Twitter. As I was saying earlier, at the time we made this video, there was no good videos on any iPhone trailer. Actually, there was maybe one, Monster Trucks, from our friends in Finland, Redlings. It had about 300,000 views. And the game was #1 and did very well. So we made a very good trailer. And this was actually a couple months ago. I think it's well over 20 million views now. And it's a great way to get your brand out there. Because a lot of kids would just watch the video just for the video. Didn't even want to play the game. Twitter. Don't underestimate the power of Twitter. Twitter is an amazing tool for marketing. These days, we interact with our fans. We answer everybody's tweet that they send to us. And with Twitter, we can now actually do all of our press releases with the length of a text message on Twitter. Because, okay, we have 35,000 followers now. That helps. But then every one of those followers' friends see all the tweets we send them. So the actual followers is multiplied by 10 times. Don't forget about Twitter. It's very valuable. Don't use it for personal use, though. So yeah, now the game has 10 themes, 200 levels, 7 unique birds, leaderboards, frequent updates, achievements, and the hidden golden eggs. But you can see at the bottom there's some coins there. And it's price sensitivity. At $1.99, people were not buying the game. It was too expensive on iPhone. Is it not better to go for volume for 99 cents or to keep your game at $1.99? If you're a big player like EA, okay, you can release a game and charge $5. But if you have an unknown IP, bring it to the lowest level and try to go for volume. Yeah, focus on the users. As I said, it's not a disposable thing, your game, or you shouldn't be. Quality updates are essential. Bring people back to your game. Walkthrough videos. Angry Birds Before the Mighty Eagle. There was a lot of frustrated fans that couldn't get past levels. Walkthrough videos helped. And thankfully now our fans make them for us. I appreciate that if any of you have. We respond to all emails, all tweets. We listen to all of our user feedback. And even sometimes we might actually implement some of their ideas into the game. For example, a 5-year-old from Texas sent us this picture with very strict details about what was in this picture. Like this was a treasure chest, and then some diamonds, and then he had dynamite, and then this floppy purple wall. So we decided, after him making such an effort and sending it to us, we'd put his picture in the game. We did change the floppy wall to the other side, but we kept his general idea. And we kind of made Ethan famous, because we put his name up in the sky in that level as well. And he's actually still the only person outside of Rovio that's made his own level for the game. So now, this is where we are now. Angry Birds, best-selling game on the Apple App Store. Best-selling game for the Ovi Store with the N900 and for Symbian 3, which probably nobody here uses. Bestseller on the Palm App Store. I'm a big believer in Palm. I think good things are going to come there. Angry Birds Facts. So on the App Store, we've now been #1 in 79 countries. Best-selling iPhone game of all time. The original version of Angry Birds has had over 13 million sales now. And Angry Birds Seasons, this is a little bit outdated. I'd say it's probably closer to 5 million sales now. The light version, 14 million plus. I'd say that's probably more like 20 million now because we released Angry Birds free with ads recently. And our average user rating on iTunes is 4.8 out of 5. So when you're #1 and you have an average user rating of 4.8 out of 5, people will generally give your game a shot, especially for $1. On the Android market, we have the game for free. We weren't convinced that the Google checkout system worked that well. So we decided to put the game for free and try to monetize through ads. It's worked out very well for us. We've had 15 million downloads plus. #1 free game on the Android market ever since the first day it came out. We launched the game on GetJar, and we had 1 million downloads within an hour, and we crashed their servers. We've also crashed Palm servers. This is one of our favorite things. We're working on Google. We haven't got there yet. Yeah, and 300,000 new users on Android every day. And that's just for the original version. Seasons, it's probably a lot more with Seasons. So Angry Birds has taken over the world. We've been pretty much #1 everywhere. I think China has now been #1. Japan is our only country we can't seem to conquer. And then, yeah, well, Africa, not all those nations have the App Store. So you reach #1. What do you do now? Start building a brand. So go to all relevant smartphone platforms, even the smaller ones, because generally everybody looks at the App Store, but places like the Palm App Store, like the Symbian Store, there is money there, not as much money, but there's not as much competition either, so you have a lot better chance of actually getting some success. Console and PC is something we're working on now. We released the PC version and the Mac version in early January, and they're doing pretty well so far. We've got toys, a few of you have them now, and we got a whole line of merchandising coming out later on this year, and we're looking at other media, probably going to do some online games, and it's going to be exciting going forward. If we can do it, so can you. Literally, Angry Birds was built by 4 guys. We had very little budget. I was the only guy marketing the game. I have no marketing training. I did economics. So don't give up. Keep trying, because you could probably reach that success. And yeah, when you get really big, people send you cool stuff they make at home. Some kid's bedroom. I actually think this is one of his friends. Is that right? Ah, Mr. Good Living, one of their kids. Angry Birds Day in New York. Pimped out a Mini Cooper. We also had 150 people walking around London with signs saying, "Stop the madness." It was pretty fun. And everybody likes cake. So yeah, if any of you guys have a game you'd like to pitch to us, we'd love to see it. And I'm now going to let Yaska show how you build a level in Angry Birds.
Okay, there's one bird there. And another. And then there's 2 cameras in each level, like I'm saving the bird camera, and then there's like castle camera here, and then let's add some pigs and some blocks. And it's actually running in the engine, so I can put the physics on and save it with physics on, and then try the level. So this is the tool we actually use for making the levels. We have it doesn't have any HUDs or menus or anything. It's just you have to know all the right buttons to like. But seems to work quite well. Still, some balloons there. And then, yeah.
That's how you make a level in Angry Birds. It's pretty simple. We got one more thing to show you, and then we're going to take some questions. This is what happens when you give your game designer far too much time.
So we wanted to give some kind of reward for the player for getting 3 stars for all the levels. And each episode has this soundboard that you can use to make weird sounds. Like we have this bird piano here. And of course, if you play the melody from Angry Birds, they sing it to you. And then I came up with this sequencer thing. It's the Pignator.
Well, this is the Piginator, I guess you said. I think we're probably ready to take some questions. Does anybody have any questions?
Hey guys, just wanted to ask you, what sort of advice would you give to a startup company trying to do the same thing you guys are doing? What sort of pitfalls do you guys come across? What sort of advice could you give to help, someone who's just getting into this, who has game industry experience but is looking to get into the mobile market?
I would suggest really do your research before you make a game. Don't make a game just because you love the concept. Make sure that you discuss the game with lots of your friends, get a beta test group in, maybe just to look at your ideas. Make a game for the big market. I mean, Rovio before made horror games. Rovio means bonfire. And we were making games before that were hardcore, that we liked. And then we realized with Angry Birds that we have to make a game for the vast audience. So make sure you make a game that you think everybody will like. And if you don't play your own game, then nobody else is going to play your game. Don't give up.
From a revenue point of view, how is Android, how is it different than the iPhone? Like with the ad supported?
We're making the same amount of money on both platforms, pretty much. The ad revenue has been very good. You need to get a good user base, but we've done very well with AdMob so far.
What are you guys doing to focus on, say, adding more revenue in terms of microtransactions? Because I haven't seen a lot in terms of that, because I think a lot of products will do a lot of revenue generation just through microtransactions alone.
As far as microtransactions, we have the Mighty Eagle now, and it gives you the ability to skip levels and pass any level that you're stuck on, and it's going for $1. We didn't want to make the updates microtransactions because we would rather get the audience to come back and play our game again. As I was saying at the beginning, when they play the game again, their friends see them playing the game again, and it helps build your audience. Microtransactions, we are considering them. Maybe an avatar editor, I don't know. Maybe something else at some point. But we're more concerned about getting the basic game package out than worrying about microtransactions at this point.
Are you looking to do have some sort of social initiative, like get into the social gaming space, whether it's like Facebook, MySpace, and if so, how would you try to change the gaming mechanic to fit into that space better?
Yeah, we are actually working on it, but I'm not in the project. So we actually have people who know more about Facebook gaming working on it. There's, of course, you need to have the interaction between players, and then probably some kind of your own nest or something that you can modify yourself. But I haven't been working on the project, so I don't really know what's coming, really. Do you have any idea?
Yeah, no. We know that we'd have to totally alter the game to make the experience better for social games, but I haven't been involved with the project either so far, so I can't really give you any insight. Sorry.
Hi. Do you have any insights you can share into getting featured in the App Store? Does minor success for marketing come first, and then Apple gets insights, or what's your thought on that?
We were published, so we had from the very start a direct link to Apple. They showed the game to Apple, and at first they didn't see the value in this Angry Birds game. It's very nondescript, so we didn't get featured. That was when I tried the initiative trying to get big in some different countries to build up some traction, proof of concept. So, okay, we were #1 in Finland, and we didn't move for 2 months. We were #2 in Sweden, we didn't move. We got pretty high up the charts in Czech Republic, Greece, Denmark by aiming at certain blogs and just focusing on different languages. And then when we went back to Apple through our publisher with that traction and showed we really stayed in the charts, they paid a little bit more attention, and, well, then we got featured. But, yeah, you have to know someone. Yeah.
Just curious, how are you doing in the iPad version?
We're doing very well in the iPad version. We haven't really released any figures there, but we're doing extremely well. It's 10% of iPhone, but the market's pretty good. We're $4.99 on iPad.
How's that price point?
On iPad, you can charge a little bit more. I think actually, if we ever made a game for like this theater, we'd probably charge $30. As the screen gets bigger, you can charge more, it seems.
Just a question about level design again. When you were going through it, was it like you draw them out first, or would you just go into the editor and just plop down some stuff, make that hamburger, and then?
Yeah, I just did it in the editor. But I've done like these. It's hard to come up with different like themes for the levels. So I've collected different ideas, and then I've done like I had 30 different ideas, and then I just do them all. Like I'm trying to collect different ideas because it's really hard to come up with new ones after you've done 300 levels already.
Cool, thank you.
All right, I think that's it. Well, don't give up if you're making games. We tried 52, and finally we had one that really popped, and just don't give up. And thanks for having us here.